Thank you for joining us for the 7 Secrets of Effective Farmers webinar series. Today's session is Marketing for Value-Added or Niche Products. We are grateful to have Bruch Leffew from Center for Profitable Agriculture joining us today. A few housekeeping items before we get started. Please leave your microphones on mute and video off during the session. If you like to locate the chat box right now, please type your name and location into the box to help me record attendance. You may use the chat box at any time if you have a question, and you can submit it at any time during the session. I am recording the session and plan to post it online in the event you would like to review it again or share with someone else. I will ask you to answer 2 questions at the end of the session to record feedbacks. So if there's no questions at this time, let's dive into today's session. Megan?
Thank you, Iris. Thank you all for making time to be here today. Hopefully it's a convenient time for you to stop what you're doing for the day and take a little rest and have some lunch while we talk about marketing for value-added or niche products. I am Bruch Leffew from the Center for Profitable Agriculture. We are a department within UT Extension that works with farmers that are interested in developing or improving or expanding value-added direct marketing or agritourism type operations. So we're going to talk about marketing for value-added or niche products today. And marketing is a vital component of every value-added enterprise. And oftentimes it's not what farmers or producers and sometimes even entrepreneurs are interested or passionate about. So, but it is vitally important that we do it and do it well in order to have a chance at success for our business. So one way to think about marketing is putting it in an agricultural term. If I plant these seeds, will they grow? Well, if we were in person, we would be having a discussion about all the ways that it depends, right? It depends on what these seeds are and where you're located. How have they been stored? Have they been stored properly so that they will germinate properly? When do you plant them? What time of year? What kind of soil you have? What kind of soil preparation you make? What's the fertility of the soil? Do you have too much moisture or not enough moisture? A lot of factors go into whether these seeds will grow or not. Well, that's the same way that we think about marketing, or if a certain type of business will be profitable. I get a lot of questions about, I just purchased 7 acres or inherited 100 acres or whatever the case may be, and what do I need to grow or raise or produce in order to make that business profitable? So if we build, grow, produce, offer it, will they come and buy it, and will they be profitable? It depends on a whole lot of factors. It depends on if you can produce it at a cost low enough and sell it at a high price high enough to be profitable. Can you sell enough of that product? Does some strange global pandemic occur and change all the consumer behavior in the middle of what you're doing? So the answer is it depends. We often talk about businesses failing for 3 main reasons. So understanding why they fail can help us to do the right things to help prevent business failure in a lot of cases. So businesses fail oftentimes for the 3 M's. One is money. And unfortunately or fortunately, I'm not sure, you've got to have some money in order to get a business up and going and rolling. And as you build your customer base and start making sales in order to start that business and get it going. We also are finding right now that you've got to have some money, some capital, and hopefully can maintain some cash flow to keep a business running when the economy has a downturn or there's some disruption in the market. So having some money is vitally important in having some capital and cash flow to keep that business running. The second M, the reason why businesses often fail and is important for us to really work toward, is management. Having some skills and experience to juggle all of the balls that have to be juggled in order to run a successful business. Managing your expenses and your costs, managing labor, customer service, inventory, meeting regulations, all the different things that come into play have to be managed appropriately in order to keep that business successful. The third reason why businesses fail is often related to marketing. And sometimes we just think that if we build it, they will come and buy it. And so we don't really pay attention to marketing. And sometimes we just go out and do some marketing without thinking about who our target or ideal customer is. So to do marketing successfully, you need to really identify who your target audience is, learn everything you can about them, and develop your marketing strategies to reach and access that key target customer. Otherwise, you're just driving a truck down the road and throwing money out the window if you're doing marketing without thinking about who that target audience is. So that's what a lot of the research says about why businesses fail, but we've found that there's actually a fourth M related to business failure or success on the flip coin, and that's a little bit of magic. Having the passion and energy and drive to overcome obstacles and keep going when things get difficult, working with difficult customers, working through difficulties with financing, working through financial downturns is really important. It takes a lot of hours and time and passion to make that happen. When we think about a marketing plan or marketing for a business, it's really like a roadmap for our business. When you have a product or service that you're planning to offer, we kind of want to start by surveying the entire marketplace and getting a feel for where our place is. Where is our niche? What is our unique selling proposition that makes us different or better than other folks that are out there? So we kind of survey what's out there and figure out where we are. I'm in Columbia today, so that's that's where we are on the map, where we are in the marketplace related to everything else that's out there. We went to identify the challenges that are out there or the threats that are out there. This might be a regulation that prevents us from doing something. I've had questions this morning about what are the regulations involved with selling pickles at the farmer's market. Well, there's lots of regulations there that prevent you from making those pickles in your home kitchen. You need a food manufacturing permit. You have to have a processing authority, different things. So for some people, that might prevent them from doing it. Other people, well, we just navigate around those threats and or challenges and make it happen by following the regulations. So we figure out there also might be a threat in the marketplace where a product is no longer demanded, or we have to do business a different way right now. How do you do a corn maze and socially distance, for example? We've got to find a different way to do business. So we figure out where the threats and the challenges are in the marketplace, and then we figure out where we want to go. What are our goals? And what are we aiming to do? Once we know that, and also who our target customer is, that's who we're reaching to achieve, we develop our marketing strategies of how we are going to get from where we are to reach that target customer and to reach our goals. We also need a plan to monitor and measure our progress along the way. so that we are aware when an obstacle that we weren't expecting comes up, so that we can adjust our plan and still reach our target audience and meet our goals. So that's just a good visual way to think about what a marketing plan is and why it's so important for our business to really put some time and effort into planning our marketing, understanding that customer, and developing strategies for how to accomplish our marketing. So we want to start with marketing by assessing our resources, our mission, and our goals. What skills do we have? What land do we have? What kind of labor and capital do we have available to us that will help us in developing our product or service that will likely be successful in the marketplace? And then after we take a good look in the mirror at ourselves and our resources, mission, and goals, we want to put on our customer glasses and take on a customer state of mind. Who out there is most likely to need our product or service and is willing and able to purchase that product? So marketing really is all about understanding who our target consumers are and developing strategies to reach them. And the strategies that we develop will surround the product itself. What is that product? What is the characteristics of that product? What information do people need on the label of that product or communicated to them in order to make a purchase decision? The positioning of that product is the image that you want to portray. So what is of interest to those consumers that you need to tell them to entice them to buy your product? Part of understanding as our customers was what are they willing to pay for a product, and including that in our strategy for pricing. Place refers to where we make that product or service available for them to purchase. Promotion is where we promote or advertise and what information we include in those promotion and advertisements. And people relates to the service that we provide. What do our consumers need? And we've certainly seen some changes to the service that people are looking for or needing right now in the midst of COVID-19. Some farms have moved from having a on-farm market to now offering online ordering and curbside pickup as options, at least for some of our most vulnerable residents. So what kind of service do people need? We really want to take a market-driven approach. And sometimes we get calls about, well, we have, grandma's favorite cookie recipe or the best barbecue sauce recipe that's been handed down for years and years. And that's wonderful. But we also have to determine whether there is a need in the marketplace that can be fulfilled by that product. Otherwise, it's just a nice recipe. So is there a need or want that your business can fulfill out there? What and how much is needed or desired for that product? What is valued about that product or service that you can offer? And how can you be different? What competition exists? I receive a lot of calls about wedding barn venues. And, when I go and look at the county that they're calling from, and there is a very long list of wedding venues already available, I have to ask them, why do you think another wedding venue is needed in this area? Is there a niche that you can fulfill that isn't fulfilled by one of these others? And if not, maybe we need to look at a little different type of enterprise or product or service that you could offer. So how do we go about taking a market-driven approach? Well, we can listen to your customers if you're already working with the public, or listen to potential customers. We can ask those folks if you have a following on social media, or if you're already going to the farmers market for something, or just start asking people that you meet. We can research related products and services online and in person. In some cases, there are industry studies that have been conducted that can provide some information. We can network with local business, local or state or even beyond our state lines, organizations that can be helpful, and talking and networking with other people in the business. So we can look for insight through facts, figures, reports, and observation. Another good one is going out there and trying to see what's at the farmer's market and what's missing. And we can look at two types of data: primary data and secondary data. So secondary data is usually our first source of information, even though it's called secondary, because it's been created or discovered by somebody else, but it's still very useful to you. It's less costly than producing new information and might include some analysis or summary that's easy for you to take away from and use. I caution you to rely on really credible sources. And we hope at the University of Tennessee in Extension that Extension information, we are supposed to be science-based, non-biased information out there. And there are lots of universities doing research on local foods, agritourism out there that have some information that can be helpful. We do need to watch information that's on the web. There are some organizations out there that may be biased one way or another with the information that they produce. And there's also, once information is out there, it lives there forever. So you might find information that's really old online that isn't applicable now because markets and consumers change. And you can find information that may be outdated because it's been updated. So we need to look for credible and timely information. Examples of secondary data sources might be information from the Census of Agriculture, the U.S. Population Census, university studies, and food sites or trade publications can also provide us with some information. Primary data is research that you conduct and you analyze. So the main methods are personal observation or interaction. I do this sometimes just in the grocery store. I'll go hang out and watch people as they're shopping for meat or fruits and vegetables or dairy products, or at the farmer's market, and listen to what questions are asked, what products are available. We do this also through surveys or focus groups, and you can do these as well. Iris mentioned that she will be doing a poll at the end of the session day. That is a primary data collection tool. So some examples of ways of things that you can find. This is out of one of our publications on developing a new farmer's market. So there's a sample telephone survey of potential customers that would collect information that may be helpful to a group that was planning a new farmer's market. And this would be an example of a primary data collection strategy. There is a great study that the National Restaurant Association conducts every year of chefs across the country, and they develop lists of the top restaurant trends that will be coming for the year. So this information is released early in the year, so January, February of 2020, this information came out about what the restaurant trends were for the year. And a lot of times it includes information that's useful to our local food producers. Of course, you have to take things with a grain of salt, and this is a good teachable moment in that nobody, I don't think, who answered this survey at the end of 2019 about trends they foresaw in the restaurants in 2020 ever expected COVID-19 to happen. So these are kind of out the window, but it is a good survey to look at from year to year and see how it changes, and to see what's coming up in restaurants if you're interested in supplying restaurants with products, but also in looking at what trends may also be coming what consumers may be interested in seeing in other places, like the farmers market or on-farm retail markets. Here are a couple examples of some studies that we have worked with in the Center for Profitable Agriculture, or our Department of Agricultural and Resource Economics have worked with. So there's some feasibility of a federally inspected custom livestock processing facility in Tennessee, and then growth prospects in the Tennessee wine industry. So we have some studies related to agritourism, consumer studies with meat, and other things available as well. So those are some examples of some secondary data sources. You may be familiar with the Pick Tennessee Products marketing campaign that the Tennessee Department of Agriculture conducts, and it is a great place for local producers to market their products, but I find it's a great place to do some market research as well, to see, you know, how many producers are doing a certain, offering a certain product in a certain geographic area. What kind of marketing messages are they using? What kind of marketing tools are they using? How are they pricing their products? And also, it's a great place to find producers to maybe call a network with to learn more about the business. So this second step in taking a market-driven approach, after you identify a product or service where there's a need or product that you can fulfill, is to figure out who is that target market and really narrow down and define them in as much detail as possible. So we would look at demographics and psychographics. So demographics might just be, where do they live? Are they of a, is your target market female or male? Are they of a certain age group or a certain economic level of income or certain education? And psychographics relates more to their shopping behavior or beliefs system. So what do they value? How often do they shop? How much do they buy? Where do they shop? And then their values are more related to what they're thinking and what they're willing to pay. So customer benefit, the cost, convenience, and communication. We'll talk more about that in a minute. So our target market has to meet 3 main tests for it to really be our target market. We want to identify the folks that are going to be our first and our best customers, that are going to become loyal, lifelong customers for us. They're going to purchase regularly. They're going to be our best advocates. So first, they have to have a need or want that your business can fulfill. Second, they have to be willing to purchase the product. And third, they have to be able to purchase the product at a price that will help you meet your financial goals. And if they can't meet all of those 3 things, then they are not your target market for your product. And if you cannot identify a target market for your product, then you need to be looking at a different product because you're not taking a market-driven approach. So there are different target markets for different products. So if our product is educational field trips, that target market's going to be different than the target market for a haunted woods, which may be different target market from a winery, which may be a different target market than an on-farm retail market. So we may be looking at teachers as our target market for our field trips. For our haunted woods, we might be looking at teenagers or young adults. For our wineries, we're looking for, maybe we're looking for folks who want to get married and have an event at our winery. And for an on-farm retail market, we might be looking for families or a different group. So we need to figure out who our target market is and really understand as much as we can about them, really make a picture of who they are and as clearly as possible so that we can then develop our marketing strategies to make sure that we are reaching that specific group. So again, their age, gender, geographic location, marriage family status, in some cases ethnicity and education level, and what do they value? How often do they shop? Where do they shop? Are they interested in supporting local farmers and local products with their dollars? What types of products are they looking for? Are they looking for locally grown? Or are they looking for organic, certified organic, or something in between? How do they make decisions, and what information do they need? So are they relying a lot on referrals from friends, or how much do they want to know about your production practices? That sort of thing can be really helpful for you as you develop your marketing strategies and plan to reach those customers. And different customers have different values. The school teacher is looking for a lot of different things when she's coming for a farm field trip. She's looking for, does it meet educational standards of that she has to meet for her classroom? Is it a safe place? Is it a fun place? How much work and how much hassle is the experience for her? What do the kids get out of it? Is it a memorable experience for them every year? This bride and groom are looking for the perfect wedding. So really, what are folks looking for, and what do they value that you can provide for them and communicate with them about for your business? We also need to then take on that customer state of mind and think about the benefits that they're seeking from your product. Most people aren't just buying a tomato at the farmer's market. They are buying wholesome freshness. They might be buying that feeling when you bite into the perfect BLT for the summer. We just had our first BLT with farm fresh tomatoes this week, and it was glorious. And it was so much more than that tomato that we bought at the farmer's market, right? So what is it that they're really looking for out of that product? Customer cost is what they're willing to pay you for that product, and why. Are they willing to pay you more for certain characteristics of that product? Convenience is related to where you're making that product for sale. How difficult is it? Can I find you every weekend at the farmer's market, or do I have to drive 50 miles to the farm? What level of service is to provided. And convenience is related to, or communication is related to the messages that you send, where you make information available to consumers, and how you promote that business. But they're really looking for, what information can you give them that's going to tell them that you are offering the benefit that they're looking for, that your cost, the price is consistent with their costs that they're willing to pay, and do you have the convenience or level of service or experience that they're looking for? So we need to do that to meet their communication, and where they are finding information, that we're putting that information there. So how do we do this? Well, again, we listen to our customers and potential customers, and ask our customers and potential customers about their values and what's important to them. We listen to what questions they ask us and other producers. We watch what they're buying and why. We can research related products and services online and in person again. And a lot of times those research studies will ask consumers information about their preferences for different product characteristics. So some examples. This comes out of that National Restaurant Association study that I mentioned before, that there's a lot of talk about grains and pasta substitutes. So they're looking more at vegetable noodles and rice. Well, that's great, because we can produce vegetables that will make some beautiful vegetable noodles to work for restaurants, right? So produce, the big trends are mushrooms, and kale hybrids, and going beyond, some things like baby cauliflower. So if we know what those trends are, then we can see if there is demand for those products and if we can fulfill that. Other trends to tap. Is 2020 the year of the mushrooms? Respondents to this study of chefs ranks mushrooms the hottest produce item. And it crept into the protein category too. So there's a lot of talk about plant-based proteins, and mushrooms fall in them. Also, blends, specialty burger blends, mushroom and beef blends have come into play. So when we know that there are trends like this that are maybe coming into restaurants and then filtering into grocery and maybe even the farmer's market, we can work to tap those. The Hartman Group is a great place that I follow who does some information, some research related to local products and local foods. And they put out some great studies and some really helpful infographics. And this is just one example of that. So this study found that 39% of consumers report buying more local products compared to a year ago. And the key questions that consumers consider when deciding which food and beverage products to buy include what's in it, where was it made, and who made it. That local companies are preferable. Buying local is important because it reduces pollution from transporting products. It supports local families and businesses. They're part of the community. Foods are fresher and seasonal, thus more nutritious, and I can talk to the producer about how they were grown and made. So when we know this information about consumers, then we can implement this into our marketing activities by telling our story about how buying products from you supports our local family and our local farm business. We can talk about how the products that we take to the farmer's market are picked fresh that morning and are brought right to you, and how that helps seal in the freshness and flavor and nutrition. And we can talk about and share the story about how we produce things, and even invite people to the farm to see how that's done and offer them an experience with it. So when we know what's important, we can talk about those things with our consumers. Some other places we have some information are some studies that we've done about marketing locally raised beef and consumer preferences for Tennessee beef that talk about, do consumers prefer products that are grain-fed or grass-fed? Do they prefer products with no added hormones or no antibiotics administered? Do they prefer products that are have Tennessee beef in it, that are local versus beef from the grocery store? So some studies are available that way as well. We can also use social media to listen and engage with consumers. I am on some local sites, I Heart Spring Hill, for example, and Moms of Muletown. And I follow in part to listen to what these people are talking about and see what questions they're asking. A lot of times in the fall, I'll hear questions about where can we pick apples, or in the spring, where can we pick strawberries? And then I'll watch, and people will recommend places, and people will not recommend places or discourage people from going places. And watching the information that they present about, well, you need to go here because the people are so nice and the place is so clean, and the berries are so delicious, really is Iris, can you turn off annotation? I'm glad we have a smiley face. That's wonderful. Somebody's playing on the annotation, and it's really fun, I know. But that can really give us some information. And then we can engage and get involved in those discussions. We could even ask some questions. We might be able to educate some folks on some things who may not know, or use polls to gather some information as well. If folks are looking for certain colors of mums for fall, for example, you could use a poll to get people to respond to you. We want to take a market-driven approach. Again, so we have looked for a need or want that our business can fulfill, and we have tried to identify our target market. And now we want to try to figure out if a profitable market may exist, because we certainly don't want to go forward with our business unless we're fairly certain that a profitable market exists. And it does not exist for every product or service out there. So is there an adequate market size available? Are there enough people buying enough product that it is possible to make a profit? Are you able to earn enough of that market share out there, a big enough piece of that pie to make a profit? And we need to run some numbers. Are we able to produce at a cost low enough and sell it at a price high enough to generate a product? So we need to know what it's going to cost us to produce and market that product. And we need to know, are our customers willing to pay that and more in order for us to generate a profit? All right, so how do we do this? We can use census data to take a look to see what the population is in a certain area, even by age or race or ethnicity. We can take a look at what the household income is in an area. We can look at some expenditure data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics that tells us how much an average household spends on certain categories for their home. We can look at industry studies, and we can get out the pencil and calculator or Excel spreadsheet and run some numbers ourselves. So some examples is we have some Census of Agriculture data available in a publication called A Snapshot of Value-Added Agriculture and Commonly Related Enterprises. And some of this will tell us about how many producers are out there doing certain things. So these numbers are showing the number of farms that are directly selling food products to consumers for human consumption. So in Tennessee in 2017, we had more than 3,700 farms doing that. The value of products sold was over almost $35 million, and the average sales per farm were a little bit over $9,000. For agritourism, we can look at the change in the census from 2012 to 2017. Tennessee had an increase of 5% of farms offering agritourism and recreational services. The U.S. actually decreased 14%. And if we look around us, most of the states around us actually decreased as well. As far as the value of sales, Tennessee had a 22% increase in the value of sales for the agritourism industry between 2012 and 2017, which it was lower than the country's percent increase, which was 35%. And it looks like most of the states around us also had increases over that same time period. Average sale per farm in Tennessee increased 17% to $22,545 for agritourism and recreational services. So that gives you some idea. This also shows the number of farms from the census that had different levels of sales. So in 2017, 162 farms had less than $1,000 in agritourism sales. 274 had between $1,000 and $5,000 in agritourism sales. And we had 101 farms with more than $25,000 in sales. So this might give you a little idea of the contributions that agritourism makes to farms and what it might mean for your farm. The Bureau of Labor Statistics, just as an example, has some annual expenditures data. So in 2017, for people living in the South, annual average expenditures were $54,815. Entertainment expenses for those folks were around $2,800, or about 5% of their expenses. And fees and admissions were $610, about 1% of their total expenditures. So that gives us a little bit of an idea of how much people are expending overall on entertainment as part of their budget. And again, we've had a major shift right now due to COVID-19 of in our spending based on what's available and what we're willing to go out and do. Certainly movie ticket sales are not happening. Other types of sales are not happening. All our agritourism operations had to cancel all of their field trips for spring, all of their spring Easter egg hunts. Weddings were not happening. So we've had a major shift. So we have to take that with a grain of salt when we're looking at past data. And it'll be interesting to see what the data shows for 2020. And as time goes on. The fourth part of taking a market-driven approach is to figure out how I reach that target market. And we're going to develop, implement, and evaluate marketing strategies for the product that we produce, our positioning, the price that we're going to ask, the place we're going to offer it, how we're going to promote that business, and what kind of service we're going to offer. So marketing strategies are also going to differ tremendously based on our target market. That teacher may find information much differently about school field trips and need different information than the group of young adults or teenagers will. So how we're going to promote our school field trips will be much different than how we're going to promote our haunted attraction, for example. And we can't make one rack card or one brochure that's going to fill the needs of both of those places. We're not going to have, one social media post that's going to attract both of those target markets. So again, marketing is all about understanding our target consumers and developing strategies to reach those folks. And those strategies include developing our product itself and the characteristics of that product. It's about developing the positioning or the image that we're trying to portray to our consumers through everything that we do, the price of our product, the place where we're going to make that available, how we're going to promote it, and the service that we offer. All of our marketing strategies have to be consistent with your resources, your mission, and your goals, and your target audience and their values. So every time you make a marketing decision, you should go back and check with, okay, does this match our resources, missions, and goals, and does it reach out and connect with our target audience and their specific values? So when we develop our strategies, we want to think about the customer values, the benefit that they're looking for really needs to inform and help us develop our product and our positioning. The cost that they're willing to pay is going to inform the price in part that we charge. The convenience, their values for convenience will definitely inform our place or distribution, and also our customer service. And communication is going to really play a part in how we're going to promote and what information we're going to share about our products and services. So with that product, what does our consumer need or want, and how can we be unique? What is our unique selling proposition? We can look at the product itself, but also the packaging, the information that we provide on the packaging and at point of purchase, the services that we provide, and also any sort of experiences that we have. An experience might be a wine tasting, or coming to pick your own, or taking a class to learn how to make jams and jellies or cheese or whatever it is that we're offering for sale. That positioning is the image or message that we're going to portray through to customers through our marketing efforts. It's the mental pitch and really speaks to our unique selling proposition. We want every marketing message and everything that we do, from how we and our employees dress, how our products are merchandised, to it can even be the lighting or the light fixtures and the trash cans at our farm if we're having an agritourism operation. Everything can play into the image or message that we're trying to portray. The color of paint and the style of buildings that we have on the farm, everything really needs to match this image that we're trying to portray to our consumers. So place or distribution is related to convenience for consumers. And where are they likely to access your product? Are they looking for this product at the farmer's market or an on-farm retail market, roadside stands? Are they looking for it on the internet to be shipped or delivered right to their door? Are they looking for this product in the typical grocery store, and they just want to pick it up while they're shopping? So where are your consumers likely to access their product? What days or hours of operation are they looking for? We think about that even when we're trying to schedule a webinar. Are we going to offer our product over the lunch hour when folks might be able to slow down and take it? We did some twilight webinars at 8 o'clock at night recently, because that's when we thought we could get the most people to join us. So what days and hours are your customers looking for? What sort of specific services do they need? And we've seen a lot of increases in online order, curbside pickup, personal delivery, even from farms. Right now in the time of COVID-19, as people are trying to reduce their contact with other people, and even trying to go cashless, so we're not handling cash, other things in the time of COVID-19. Aesthetics of your place, making it welcoming, merchandising of products to make them show off to consumers and more enticing to consumers, and also offering some customer comforts, making sure that there are restroom facilities available. Right now, hand washing and sanitation facilities available, for example. Some agritourism operations offer sunscreen available to consumers. So what is it that your customers need that you can really provide to them? We also want to pay a lot of attention to our pricing. And this is vitally important piece in our marketing. And sometimes we really just overlook it and we try to just price a product at what everybody else is. And we really need to go deeper into this. Pricing is part science and part art. And a lot of our business is expenses. We're paying money out in a lot of places. Price is where you get money in. So it is important to really pay attention and make sure that we understand what our costs of production and marketing are. We have to be able to cover those costs in most cases, or you can't have a profitable business. We need to understand supply and demand. Is the marketplace flooded with the product that you have? And so you're not going to be able to request a price that's very high, or do you have a very unique item that's in high demand from consumers where you can have a higher price? What are customers willing to pay, and what are different customers willing to pay? What is that individual household consumer willing to pay versus a restaurant or a grocery store buyer? We also need to consider what the competition is, but that can't completely make our price, because our price may be a lot higher for some reason, or their price might be a lot higher for some cost may be a lot higher to produce that product. We need to look at our image and positioning, and if we are saying that we are the absolute best product on the market, our price should be consistent with that and on the upper end of what's out there. If we say we are the absolute best out there, but we have the lowest price, that is confusing to customers and may get them to thinking that we aren't the most credible or as good as we think we are. And if we're including some sort of experience in with our product, then we ought to be able to charge to cover the value of that experience as well. For promotion, we need to think about how customers learn about products and services. Are they relying on word of mouth? Are they looking at publicity in the local news? Are they looking at folks who are working for a cause in their community? Sampling can be very powerful. Of course, right now in the times of COVID-19, we probably aren't doing a lot of product sampling unless you're giving them something to take home and use. Discounting in some cases can get people to try products, and if they like them, they'll buy again. And of course, advertising goes along with promotion, and a lot of times now we're doing a lot of things on the web. If you aren't on the web, you aren't in this day and age. At least having some sort of web presence, and that can be done through the state promotion program. Pick Tennessee Products will give you a place on their website and through their mobile app if you are a Tennessee product. That can get you some exposure on the web. It is relatively easy to set up a business Facebook page and do some things on social media. It certainly doesn't cost a lot. It can be vitally important if you can develop an email list of your customers so that you can communicate with them directly, can also be helpful. Don't put all of your eggs in one basket when you're doing promotion. It's helpful to be able to communicate with customers in more than one way. And please develop a promotion budget. You will need to spend a little bit of money, at least on somebody's time. That may be your time, that may be somebody else's time. But you can spend a little bit on some things like boosting posts on social media if you do that well and have a good impact. A promotion budget might also be used for signage on the farm or at farmers market, or for some merchandising type supplies. You might create that budget based on your expected sales and the costs of your marketing activities. Marketing budgets vary quite a bit, but they're often 5 to 10% of your sales. Of course, if you're just starting out and have zero sales, your marketing budget's going to be more than that. You've got to start somewhere. So that budget's going to change over your product lifestyle. Your budget may be a higher percentage sales as you're getting started, and level off as you reach kind of your capacity for production of your product or service. So Iris wanted me to talk just a little bit more about marketing in COVID-19, and we're during the times of COVID-19, and we're learning and markets are evolving over that. Of course, restaurant demand for local foods has gone down, so those producers who were relying on selling products to restaurants really took a big hit this spring. Hopefully that's coming back a little bit, but certainly not anywhere that it was. But we have seen some demand increase from household consumers for that local food, especially as there were seemed to be limitations on food products at grocery stores. Our meat producers really saw a lot of demand from consumers as products weren't available and there were some limitations there. I think that has eased up a bit. I've seemed to be able to find what I'm looking for in the grocery store. But there still are a few concerns about meat processing plant limitations, just because, you know, they're having to try to process meat and keep everybody healthy in the plant so they can continue to do that. Tours and attractions we mentioned earlier were closed earlier on and are restricted in some way now. And so I think we're going to see some impacts as we go on. Definitely, you know, costs of doing business may be higher if you're going to open an agritourism attraction right now, which some are open and doing some things. You've got to have PPE or personal protection equipment for your workers. You've got to have hand sanitizer and hand washing stations available. Some of those things are hard to find right now. And you've got to have staff doing a lot of cleaning and sanitizing around. So costs could be increased of, you know, more than they normally are for those reasons. Yelp had some really interesting graphs showing COVID-19 impacts on markets and categories that are rising. The very first one was community-supported agriculture. So CSA shares were up in sales 579% when the restrictions for COVID starting to come into place. Also interesting, supernatural readings were up 140%, but really interesting to see CSA sales. Also sales for local meats. I know strawberry producers had a lot of demand for strawberries this year. And farm stores, some of the farm stores were even trying to get products that were hard to find at grocery stores that you wouldn't normally buy at a farm store. If you could buy bread or hand sanitizer or flour or eggs, you know, things that they tried to find more products so that people could order online and curbside pickup at the farm. Categories that were falling: breweries were down 68%, tours down 50%, summer camps down 23%, and I think we'll continue to see some things like that. We have a lot of marketing resources on our website. This is kind of a sampling of some cover shots of several publications that we have available. Anything from a farmer's guide to pick your own operation to a general guide to pricing, creating signage that sells. All of these are available for free on our website, and some extension offices may also have copies of these available. So we've got our website address on here. We also have a special COVID-19 resources page. We put together links to other resources, but also recordings from webinars and some fact sheets that we've developed. We have a Facebook page that you're welcome to follow us on, and we have an e-news list for folks. We send out information about new resources and workshops. We are planning to offer some workshops this fall and winter and spring. Of course, right now we're trying to figure out how to offer these workshops. This fall will probably be online in some way. Hopefully by the end of the period where we have grants, maybe we'll be able to get back together in person. But these will be workshops on exploring agritourism for your farm, starting a food manufacturing business in Tennessee. And the third one is Market Ready, which is about marketing products to restaurants and grocery stores and schools and institutions. So if you're interested in learning more about those, follow our Facebook page or join our e-news list for those. So I want to leave you just with some of the most important things. Marketing is all about understanding our target consumers and developing strategies to reach that specific group. We don't want to worry about anybody else in the marketplace. Figure out what our customers want and need from us, and then talk to them through our strategies about those things. And take a market-driven approach. Really try to figure out what is needed and wanted in the marketplace that your business can fulfill. Who is that target market? Does a profitable market exist? And then figure out how to reach that market. It has been my pleasure to be with you today. We'll take a look at the chat box to see if anybody has any questions. And always feel free to email me is the best way to reach me right now. That is my office phone number, and we have somebody answering that phone, but we are mostly still working from home right now. But we will get back to you when we can via email or a phone call.
Thank you, Megan, for sharing this really important information with us. Do we have any questions for Megan? If you don't have any questions, please answer the 2 questions showing on the screen right now. Help me record feedbacks. And thank you for joining us today. I don't see any questions so far. Hope you all can join us next month. We're going to talk about risk management, and that's going to be a really important topic, especially at a time like this. And thank you all. Thank you, Megan.
It was my pleasure. Thank you all for joining us.